Welcome! Today, we're going to tackle one of the most misused, most misunderstood little marks in the entire English language. Yep, it's time to finally get the apostrophe right.
Okay, so let's just dive right in. This little thing, right? The apostrophe. It's just a tiny mark on the page, but man, does it cause some serious headaches. We see it used incorrectly all over the place. So why? Why does this one little symbol create so much chaos?
Well, here's the good news. For all the confusion it causes, the apostrophe really only has two main jobs. Just two. And if you can get a handle on those, you'll be way ahead of the game. And here they are. The two big jobs: creating contractions, shortened words, and showing possession or ownership. That is it. At its core, the apostrophe is either standing in for some missing letters or it's pointing to who owns something. Simple as that.
Okay, so let's tackle that first job, making contractions. This is how the apostrophe helps make our language a little bit shorter and a little more efficient.
So what even is a contraction? Well, it's pretty much just a shortened version of two words kind of squished together. And the apostrophe? It's the little hero that jumps in to show where we took some letters out. Think about how do not magically becomes don't.
Okay, let's see this in action. We'll start with a super common one that you see all the time, the phrase, "it is." First thing we do is we knock out a letter. In this case, the I from the word is going to go. Poof, it's gone. And bam, this is where the apostrophe makes its grand entrance. It just slides right into that empty spot to show us, hey, a letter used to be here. And just like that, it is becomes it's. You know, we do this constantly without even thinking about it. They are becomes there. Will not turns into won't, which, yeah, is a little weird, but it works. And she has becomes she's. In all of these examples, that little apostrophe is the workhorse doing the job. All right, let's talk about the big one, the one that gets everybody. It's versus its. It is honestly the #1 apostrophe mistake. But here's the trick, and it works every time. If you can swap the word out for it is or it has, then you need the apostrophe. If you can't, you don't. So, it's a beautiful day works because you can say it is a beautiful day. But you can't say the dog wagged its tail. See? No apostrophe needed for it's there. Okay, job #1, contractions, is in the bag. Now for the apostrophe's second big job, showing possession. This is all about showing who owns what. Now, this can feel a little tricky, but I promise it's not so bad. There are basically 3 scenarios. 1, for a single thing, like one dog, you just add apostrophe S, the dog's leash. 2, if you have more than one thing and the word already ends in S, like dogs, the apostrophe just goes on the very end, the dog's leashes. And 3, for those weird plurals that don't end in S, like children, you go right back to the first rule. Add apostrophe S, the children's toys. And check out how much of a difference that placement makes. The writer's desk, that's one writer, one desk, but move the apostrophe to the other side of the S, the writer's desks, and suddenly we're talking about a bunch of writers and their desks. That one little mark completely changes the meaning. Kind of powerful, right? Okay, now for a big do not rule. Possessive pronouns, words like hers, his, theirs, and its, they never get an apostrophe. And why is that? Well, because they're already showing ownership all by themselves. The job is already done. Adding an apostrophe is just, well, it's wrong. So remember, the book is hers, no apostrophe needed. All right, you've got the basics down pat. Now let's get into a couple of the trickier situations you might run into out there. So what if 2 people own something together, like Jim and Jane? If they share one project, you only put the apostrophe on the last name, Jim and Jane's project. But if they each have their own bike, then they each get an apostrophe, Jim's and Jane's bikes. It's a really cool, subtle way to show if ownership is shared or separate. Okay, here's one that trips people up all the time. What about a name that already ends in S, like Charles or Dickens? Well, the truth is, it's a little bit of a style choice. Some guides say you just add an apostrophe at the end, like Dickens' novels. Others say you should still add the apostrophe S, Dickens's novels. Both are pretty much accepted. The key is just to pick one way and be consistent with it. All right, we've saved the biggest one for last. Let's talk about the #1 most common mistake people make with apostrophes. If you learn to avoid this one thing, you'll be ahead of 90% of people out there.
And here it is. Please, please never use an apostrophe just to make a regular word plural. You see it everywhere, right? On signs for apples and bananas. It's so common on produce signs that some people actually call it the greengrocer's apostrophe. If you're just talking about more than one of something, you almost never need it.
Think about it like this. You see a bunch of cats. Are they a contraction? Nope. Do they own something in this sentence? Nope. So it's just, the cats are sleeping. No apostrophe. Easy peasy.
And this goes for dates too. People love to write the 1990s, but you don't need that apostrophe. It's just 1990s. Again, it's not a contraction and the decade doesn't own anything.
Same exact deal for acronyms. You might have a bunch of old CDs, not CDs. Now, unless you're talking about something the CD owns, like the CD's case, you just add an S to make it plural.
And that's really it. Those are the two big jobs, making words shorter and showing who owns what. Once you've got that down, you're pretty much an apostrophe pro. So now that you know the rules, I've got a challenge for you. Where are you going to spot the first mistake out in the wild? Because trust me, you are going to see them everywhere now.